Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Hey there, folks. Happy to be back with you this week, and the main review of Gladiator II with a couple of pit stops along the way. So you'll see more and more content in this sort of 25 to 30 minute range I'm shooting for to cover a lot more films and to get a lot more episodes out on a timely fashion and not feel like I have so much work to do for each episode. So this episode, we're going to talk about two movies, a short, and then a main review. So we're going to start off with Starlet. It's a Sean Baker film from back in 2012. The synopsis over on IMDb is an unlikely friendship forms between a 21-year-old Jane and an elderly Sadie after Jane discovers a hidden stash of money inside an object in Sadie's yard sale. The cast for this is Dree Hemingway as Jane, Basideka Johnson as Sadie, Bonnie as Starlet, the dog, Stella Maeve as Melissa, and Sherry. Let's keep going. And James Ransom as Mikey. It's most of the cast that we're talking through here. So the writers for this film are Sean Baker and Chris Baragach, and it's directed by Sean Baker. So after being enamored with Anora and having seen Florida Project, I've been trying to catch up on Sean Baker's past films. And this one was one that was available for streaming at the time on Mubi, and I was able to knock it out pretty quickly. So this film is really interesting because you can feel the heart and the intimacy of a Sean Baker movie. It's almost like a raw distilled version of what we've come to expect from his films. And for that purpose, I really liked it. On the other side of it, I would say it was slow and meandering. So my full review over on Letterboxd was pretty short. It was 2.5 stars. With a heart, I find the film slow and charming. I can see the intimacy and vulnerability as I find in every Sean Baker film, but it's slow and meandering. Also, Melissa is a true monster. Boy, howdy, was I taken back by terrible friends taking advantage, or air quote friends taking advantage of someone else. The fact that the room that Jane is taking up in this house is also being used for shoots during the day by Mikey. So this entire movie revolves around the porn industry and people who are doing who are actors in that space. Mikey is trying to get Melissa more work. Melissa is chaotic. Jane is a seemingly new talent who's on the rise. She eventually goes to a yard sale to buy some new stuff for her room in this house and buys a thermos, and that thermos has a whole bunch of money stashed in it. I think feeling guilty, she heads back to try to talk to Sadie, the owner that she bought it from, and tries eventually to find her way into a relationship with this woman. It's a chaotic movie. It's got a lot of rawness. There are moments where you can see what have become hallmarks of Sean Baker's storytelling. The explosive nature of like Sadie eventually calling the cops on Jane because she's convinced she's trying to get over on her. Watching Sadie take care of Starlet the dog and then lose the dog and can't find him is really amazing. It's scary and sad, and I think it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie from my perspective. But it is unbelievable to see Sean Baker working out the type of filmmaker that he's going to become. I think everything you do is building up your muscles. It is teaching you. It is a learning experience, and this seemed like it was a really good one for him. So right now, it's currently on. It was just added to their Criterion channel, but it seems to be that it may no longer be on Mubi. You should watch it just so you can feel like you understand more about Sean Baker and his approach to films. My second film for this week is going to be Alien Romulus. I finally caught up with this. I thought about making it a main review, but I think there's a lot going on in the award space, and I wanted to make sure I had some time to cover most of those films. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Alien Romulus. So, over at IMDb, the summary of the film is: while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. This film is really the cast of this film is pretty amazing. You've got Kaylee Spaney playing Rain. You've got David Johnson playing Andy, her synthetic brother, basically. And then there's a couple of other actors that are playing sort of the rest of the cast of people around them. They eventually become, in a lot of ways, cannon fodder for aliens. But the movie is really well done. I think I was really put off by the way it was described to me by a lot of people, which was that it was this really like hardcore horror film and jump scare movie, which you'll hear in my review. I think it really I found it intriguing. I really love the take on this film and where it was going. I like the fact that this is sort of in that in between space between Alien and Aliens. It's about like sort of the social contract that the members of society at this point are under, which is you have to work for your passage. It's like indentured servitude, and they can continue to just add on to your time. So Rain can't leave the planet she's on. It's a really well created, well thought out, like film of ideas as much as it is of like jump scares and aliens. I really liked it. So I gave it 3.5 stars with a heart over on Letterboxd. And my review was I wish this hadn't been so hyped as a horror and jump scare side, because it was a good watch at home, but it would have been much better in a theater with a crowd. It's scary, it's chaotic, but not so much that I couldn't handle it. Here's a little spoilery, so if you don't care, skip ahead 30 seconds. The Ian Holmes CGI deepfake is terribly executed, but not a terrible idea. Unlike the rest of this film, it shot beautifully, and there are some true nightmare fuel in the last 20 minutes. I think the Ian Holmes CGI deepfake, and it just feels out of place for how crisp and sharp so much of this film is. Not that it was, and its execution just felt like ham-handed a little bit. I understand that people got really upset by it, but the reality was, I think it made sense. He was also the only synthetic that hasn't really returned in a film, so yeah, not a bad movie at all. I think I would really be excited if Feni Alvarez wanted to do another film here. He was a co-writer on the listed co-writer, but I believe it was just an adaptation from the two original creators of Alien, Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shushat, and Fede Alvarez, and then Fede directed it. So I really enjoyed it. You should watch it if you like Alien movies in general, but I watched it over on Disney Plus through Hulu. If you are subscribed, go find it over there. It just makes me laugh that it's on Disney Plus. There's so many films that are now propagating onto Disney Plus because of Hulu that are making people's heads explode. Kinds of Kindness, and just amazing, the films that are now under the Disney Plus umbrella when they were worried about having an R-rated film at all. So that's the two first time watches of films that are not the main review. I'm going to jump over to one of the films from this year's Oscar shortlist of short documentaries. And that would be the only Girl at the Orchestra. I really was impressed by this. It's a pretty, so my review, and then I'll jump into where it came from. It's a very enjoyable and straightforward talking head documentary about an unsung hero in the arts. So 3.5 stars for me. It's on Netflix. According to IMDb, the summary of it is this unsung hero story celebrates a trailblazing musician, Orin O'Brien, and the double bass that she plays. Her niece, Molly O'Brien, is the director of this film, and you follow this woman's story from the time that she started playing the double bass, was part of the New York Philharmonic, was embraced by everyone as sort of this first female musician in the Philharmonic, hired by Leonard Bernstein. She's now 87, and this is her retiring. Sort of her moving out of the apartment she's lived in forever as part of the New York scene. She still teaches, and it was just there was a lot of intimacy, there was a lot of vulnerability of the of the main subject, but also the her niece being able to be a part of the conversations and ask her things. It just felt very sweet and caring. I mean, I think it's a beautifully put together documentary. I just don't know that it's going to have the ability to jump across to the awards race beyond the short list. I liked it. I think you should check it out. I watched it, like I said, on Netflix, but it's definitely worth your time. It's amazingly well put together, short, and is indicative of the type of film that you often see one or two every year in the short list. All right, we are at my main review. So the main review today is of Gladiator II. Gladiator II, according to our friends at IMDb, let's go down real quick. After his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look at his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. Boy, howdy, we're going front street with what's going on here. Even so much so that in the casting listing, we have Paul Mescal listed as Lucius. So if you've watched the first movie, you know that he is the son of Lucia, the daughter of the previous emperor. Yeah, this movie is kind of chaotic. So Paul Mescal is in this as Lucius. Denzel Washington is Mascarenhas. Pedro Pascal is General Asius. Connie Nielsen reprises her role as Lucia. And then we have the twin emperors. We have Emperor Gato, played by Joseph Quinn. And then we have Emperor Caracalla, played by Fred Heckner. Those are the majority of the people, in my opinion, that are named characters that we should really focus on. I do think there's some great little cameos here. Seeing Matt Lucas play the Master of Ceremonies at the arena at the Coliseum is really fun, especially if you've watched Doctor Who. So there's some fun other little pieces here and there. My review over on Letterboxd is there's so many storylines and tones in this film. Denzel and the Emperors are in one movie. Pedro and Paul are in another. I don't generally like to review movies that I don't really love. This is a 3-star film. It's a pretty solid 3-star film. It was written by David Frenzona, Paul Craig, and David Scarpa. And it's directed by Ridley Scott. This really does feel like Ridley Scott in his I don't give a crap phase. I'm going to make whatever movie I want to make. I think there were some big visionary components of this film. The idea of like seeing in real life the ships in a flooded Coliseum was something that he probably thought of. He was like, sharks. There are a lot of pieces of this film that just don't really mesh for me. It feels pretty scattered. It feels like there's a lot on the cutting room floor. This is another film that likely has a director's cut sitting out there somewhere. Will make it make more sense. But I feel like Ridley Scott is often making films now that he doesn't want to compromise on the story the way he's telling it. So in order for it to make it into a theater, they are spending the time to cut it down. This movie's 2 hours and 28 minutes. It's a really long movie. It doesn't set up Paul Mescal in the greatest of ways. I feel like some of the film is like cut away from him. There's like 20 minutes near the end that he is not even involved with. It's hard to be the titular sort of gladiator and the lead of the movie when you're not in a large portion of the movie. And I think, Denzel is great. I feel like this is a movie where he just gets to go. He is hammering down the gas pedal from the moment he arrives. And honestly, he's propulsive and he's fun. Every time he's on screen, you're in. And I feel like you have Pedro Pascal and you have very little of what Pedro Pascal does that makes him like the charisma bomb that he is. But in the opening sequence, you see the Roman soldiers attacking the town where Lucius is living when he's been on the run. And, they go to drop the drawbridge from their rolling, machinery, and it sticks. And then you see Pedro Pascal's general go down and basically take on the ability to like cut the ropes and go in first to the battle, and it felt like we were setting up the general to be the primary protagonist of this film, and it was very off-putting to have Lucius and him on opposite sides. I just feel like the structure of this film was very complicated. You know, the fact that there's like a trophy room that is dedicated to Paul Mescal's, we find out, let's take a moment. 1, 2, 3, spoilerific, that he is the son of Russell Crowe's character in the first movie of Maximus. It seems weird that there is a temple to Maximus, but no other gladiators, and that this is where they bury rebellious gladiators. I don't know. It just seemed very contrived. It felt like it was a good way to shoehorn in aspects of the first movie. This movie is like so much reverence and love for the original Gladiator, so much so that there are like full sequences that are like cartoon and animated versions of stories that are happening in that movie. Some of it is actual footage that we're cutting back to. It's kind of like a greatest hits, or like it's almost a Chris Farley sketch of movies where it's just like, do you remember Gladiator? It's pretty awesome. Like it's a strange film. The way that it's edited and the story that's being told, it feels like it's super chopped up. And so much of it just feels like it's being glued together with Gladiator lore from the first movie. So I was a little disappointed. I gave it 3 stars. It was beautiful. There were sequences of it that I can't believe I saw. You've got a lot of charisma and star power on display in this movie. I think the 2 emperors are a blast. I think honestly, Fred Heckinger is amazing as like a over the top, chaotic emperor who can't see past why everything is his brother and him together. And Joseph Quinn is good. There's no arguments here for the talent on display. I think the bigger question for me is, first, the script feels very chopped up and muddied. And then secondarily, it feels like there's a lot more movie here that we are not seeing that would make this make more sense. But do we want a 4-hour cut of Gladiator II? So I'll leave it there. I think you should decide for yourself. I got a chance to see it in the theater. I believe it is currently now streaming everywhere. You can premium VOD it. Check it out for yourself. It's always good to see a Ridley Scott movie. I just wish it was a different type of Ridley Scott movie than the last couple we've gotten in theaters. So thank you so much for sticking around. I'm glad to be here and to give you my opinions. Please follow everywhere online. Robbie the Geek is my handle, and then there's Geek on Film and GeekOnFilm.com. We're located all over the place. We're also at GeekOnFilm.com. Please rate and review us in all of your podcatchers of choice. And if you have any questions or you'd like some feedback, feel free to reach out to me at Robbie@GeekOnFilm.com. Have a great day, and keep your eyes out. Next one coming soon will likely be a complete unknown. Talk to you in a couple days. Have a great one. Bye-bye. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.